And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Fated Continuum, the Legendary Journeys. I am your one and only gaming monk, better known as Mildra, and with me is my good brother here in the temple, the Master of the Wanderer's Library, good brother Sig.
Apologies for the delay, folks. That one was on me.
So, there were... Yes, because of health issues, we didn't do this on Sunday. And as we were going through the week, I was thinking, should we do this again on... Should we wait until 1 week from next Sunday to do it, or should we put Soar off for a week to do it then? And I decided on the latter, mostly because obviously next Sunday we're doing Reflections of Gaia. And I didn't really feel like pushing this down that far ahead. So obviously I'm not moving the dates that are set for Reflections of Gaia. We have a very specific window we can do this before we jump back into covering Sword World again. So it was one of those things where I just had to bite the bullet, as it were.
We're just playing catch-up at this point, so it's fine.
Yeah, or Cat's Up, as some of those old bottles I had said.
Yes.
So, obviously for this one, we are going to be delving into FF10 and 10-2. Now, a big reason I went with both is both of them are set in Spira, and I didn't see enough of a reason to separate them. Zan, of course, has his disagreements about 10-2, but I have said in the past that FF Legend is meant to be a total Final Fantasy TTRPG, not just being selective about the ones I happen to like. And you have a healthy amount of people, including our good sister Riona, who like 10-2, and I didn't see a reason to throw it out just because one person thinks it's bad fan fiction. So, sorry, Zan. This is not a democracy. This is a dictatorship. I am the law. And
I'm Michael Jackson, you Tito.
But obviously, with 10, they were trying to go ambitious, given what they could do with the PS2. One of the big things that always stuck with me with this one, that I've brought up in the past, is a choice to go with what they referred to during some of the early press releases as an Asian-themed approach. I guess because they had done a lot of Western Europe style fantasy for the longest time. It's high time to try a little something else, with a lot of nods to the Philippine Islands. Which, in that regard, you could kind of look at Sin as something akin to a hurricane. Because, well, that particular part of the world gets screwed over gets hit by natural disasters quite a lot. Mostly because of where it is in the Pacific Ocean. You have things like the Monsoon Belt, and you have the Ring of Fire, if you're familiar with that. Not talking about the Johnny Cash song.
No, I'm not going to start breaking out into song today.
The Ring of Fire refers to this area around the Pacific Ocean that has a significant amount of active volcanoes. Or it's just very volcanically active.
The Ring of Fire.
It is essentially one big tectonic belt. And just to I'm gonna send you a image, Sig, just so you can get
Okie
a con
dokie.
a concept. So all of that is the
Yeah.
ring of fire generally.
Dang. That is a huge span. Goes from Asia all the way to South America.
Mhm.
Dang, I never knew that.
Yeah, this was obviously one of the big nods in film to with this sort of thing would be Pacific Rim. That's what they're referring to with this kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, which I know somebody would inevitably ask, what would a Pacific Rim TTRPG look like? I'm like, I don't have to imagine it, because I've seen it twice. And I've covered it twice. There's the mod for Everyday Heroes, which Everyday Heroes is basically a 5e successor to D20 Modern.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Uh, they recently finished doing a Night of the Living Dead module.
Oh, fuck yeah, I gotta check that out.
Uh, and they also did a module for The Crow.
I think I remember seeing that a while back.
Mm-hmm. And one for Highlander, which I did a one-shot of with the guy who made it.
Yeah, I remember seeing that either. I was kind of hesitant to pick it up.
Mhm.
Like, I like it, but 5e I'm trying to move away from.
It is using the 5e-D20 system, but it is not compatible with 5e.
Right.
I put it in the same category as like Magi Knights.
I see. And the funny thing is, I have that book, so.
Yeah, and Magi Knights, it has the skeleton of 5e, but not much else.
Yep.
But for me, obviously having a fantasy game lean a little bit more Asia than the Western pastiche is something that stuck with me, and I've made more than my fair share of allusions to the fact that there is no reason why one has to do the Western fantasy pastiche. I know for some people they're like, that you have to do that for it to be fantasy. I find that to be complete rubbish.
Also, small correction, it was Return of the Living Dead, not Night of the Living Dead. Also, a very good movie, by the way.
Oh yeah. But now obviously 10 has in addition to having the Philippine reference, but also a bit of a nod to Journey to the West. Not in the sense of having someone who's as strong as Sun Wukong, but in terms of a priest who's being guided by several companions. Especially since if you take the path that the game goes through, it's a pretty straightforward path northward when it comes to the map. It's not like you're. Of course, some of the other things that were introduced. The idea of quick swapping party members, which I was very grateful for, as well as having a limit break system, but as you progress later on, you have a bit more control over how that gauge is filled. Whereas then we get back to 10-2, which was technically made by a B team of Square. The people who made it had previously worked on The Bouncer. And it was the first direct sequel in in that sense to any FF, and I feel like that was the first sign of their steps towards trying to branch out and do a bigger variety of things. Because a few years after that, we would get the compilation of Final Fantasy VII Project, which was very much them trying to test the waters about breaking out of the Roman numeral namesake.
Mm-hmm.
And when that did as well as it did, they did a similar thing happen with the Ivalice Alliance project. And the last of these projects would be Fabula Nova Crystallis,
Mm-hmm.
which had difficulties, some of which I went over when we did a reconstruction of FF13. The the biggest issue was the rise of HD tech created a bit of a bloat problem with a lot of Japanese studios. Where because things got more complex, the temptation was, well, just add more staff. But when you add more staff, that means more hands get passed through the grapevine, especially with the collection of fiefdoms approach to development that was kind of the thing.
And in the end, it becomes a giant game of telephone.
Yeah. Our, a few years ago, there was a article in Game Developer Monthly that talked about how bloated the FF13 design team was early on. Because for the longest time, you had a separate group that was the art team, a separate group that was the level designer, a separate group that was the programmers, yada yada yada. But as you get more people in each of those departments, it's harder for them to communicate with each other. And the idea of making a vertical slice wasn't a thing at that time in Japan. I know it'd be tempting to go, oh, wait, why wouldn't you do a vertical slice? That wasn't how the design process worked. That's just the nature of it. And it wasn't until the till they did that vertical slice, which was the demo for Advent Children Complete, that a direction finally manifested. And the rest of course being history.
Yeah.
With now, of course, one of there were a few things that didn't make the cut with 10 that I do find a bit fascinating. One of them was going to be a tattoo-based system that was kind of on this grid puzzle. Some of the designers were very big on puzzles at the time, and puzzle board games. It was something that was considered, but ultimately dropped. The only reason I know that it was active consideration is because we do have screenshots taken from magazines that showed it. As far as why it got dropped, it's unknown. I do know with the concept of spheres, that was originally considered for 7. But as I said a few weeks back, Sakaguchi wanted a word that kids would be repeating at lunch and recess and the like, and he pushed for materia being the word, and sphere would just be shelved for a little while. And of course, So it was one of those cases where the idea of spheres being such a big focus wasn't a new thing. It was just a thing that they didn't that wasn't used for a while. But apparently, with localization, there were some tricky problems because the ADR director wasn't going to be getting any lip flap help, and was kind of like what happened with a lot of localizations in this time around, had to make do. I mean, it's not as bad as what happened with Woosley, who recently came out and talked about the time with Xenogears and how localizing that was an absolute nightmare. But with all that to say, there was a lot that went into 10, obviously, uh, and its reputation certainly has preceded itself. But now a few things to note. One, we are not going to be using my version of the sphere grid for this. Same reason we didn't use junctioning when we did 8, or materia when we did 7. That system is far wider. We're still using the job setup. That is going to make things a little bit tricky because of the way the sphere grid works, but everybody but Kimari has a kind of home field when it comes to these sphere abilities they're going to get early on, and then later on start dipping into other people's stuff. So there is kind of job archetypes in this. Also, something else that's kind of amusing was, 10 was supposed to use the PS2's HDD add-on, but because of timing, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
I think the first game that actually used that add-on was actually 11, which 11 will not be the next one that we get to. We're jumping straight to 12 because I want to save the MMOs for last.
Yep. I still need to get my lazy duff getting up there in level.
But I had also heard that they wanted to do voice acting as early as 8, but technical limitations didn't allow them to do that. And given how much they were pushing the PS1's hardware, I can understand that.
Yeah.
So now things are going to be a little bit easier because all but 2 characters we're going to be going over are Hume.
Right. So easy enough.
So let's see, race, class, jobs. Let me make sure I've got that ready to copy paste. So we start with Titus, the character that Nola kept making Meg Ryan jokes about, and I really don't get it.
It's been a long time since I've watched his review of Final Fantasy X, and I don't even remember most of it.
Well, he never finished. It was supposed to be a sequel to his FF8 review, but he got so spiteful, and then just stopped. And of course, all the other stuff happened.
Yep.
So, something else I think we should attempt to do is create a should we is try and lean into a particular I was gonna say a particular weapon, but I realized we don't really need to with a lot of them. There's not
No,
anybody that
because a lot of
has
them stick to one specific types.
one specific type, and a lot of the types that are there we already have accounted for.
Yep.
But funny thing, I do remember hearing from one of the writers that a significant influence on the early story was the usual suspects. Specifically when it came to that motif of of a large amount of the first half being a flashback. Which, if that's the case, that is funny to me because I really don't care for the usual suspects as a film. But when it comes to Titus, oh, I'd say one of the jobs should be Cosmic Mage because of him getting an early start with things like haste.
Yeah.
He
also gets cheer and a bunch of stuff.
And just for the hell of it, let me see what spread I gave him when I was doing the core book.
Gosh dang it! I should have pulled that up. Been so busy with preparing for Sunday that I kind of neglected a lot of other things and need to stop that.
Yeah, so let me see. Pretty sure I put Titus in the first entry. No, I didn't, so it's probably in the Ultimania guide. I know I did it.
Pulling it up now. It'll take me a little bit because it's loading.
And actually, the setup that I gave him in the Ultimania guide, I think can apply just as well here. Dynamo, Fencer, Cosmic Mage.
Yeah, I was definitely going to put in Cosmic Mage for that.
Now, as far as White Dynamo, his fighting style is all about footwork, and he works. Every character in 10 had a enemy type that they worked very well against. In his case, the beast type enemies that had a lot of footwork going on. And by the way, while we won't do the default weapons, I do think the celestial weapons we should give a look at when we get to that point.
The Caldebulg for Titus.
Yeah, that'll probably end up using the ultimate weapon rules. And actually, in the Japanese version of 10, instead of being called Caldebulg, that was called Ultimate Weapon.
Ooh.
But so with Yuna, Mage is what we got to go with, obviously.
Oh yes, of course. Let me see there. So I say, where is the book? And I realize I got it right here. Yeah, definitely mage, definitely summoner, because that's kind of her whole thing.
Yeah, I'd say summoner, white mage.
And it may be just because I'm looking at the book, but entertainer's what I see here.
Hold off on entertainer.
Okie dokie.
I feel like entertainer is gonna be more applicable when we cover 10-2. But let's see. Yeah, and I did go with entertainer in the book, but that was because that was an aggregate. When we're just focusing on 10, it's not going to be as applicable.
Right.
And I would say for the third one, medic.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
And while I'm at it, instead of fencer for Titus, I think I'm gonna switch that out with squire. Especially with
I felt like. Yeah, I was about to say he has a lot of buffs. I know that much.
A lot of not flashy but useful kind of effects, and that's very much a squire thing. So then we have Orin. Everybody likes Orin.
Oh, Orin is, of course, we love Orin in this house.
So Orin's favorite enemy was the heavy types, the types that had heavy defense.
Well, have you seen his sword? That he could cleave those.
I would say, since his particular part of the sphere grid has a lot of the break abilities, I'd say one of the big ones has to be Knight, and obviously class is Warrior. I'd say Knight, Samurai. Not just because his overdrive is called Bushido, but a lot of his overdrive abilities are named after draw out abilities for the Samurai job in past games.
Yep.
And
the last one I want to say Sword Saint.
Yeah, let me see what I gave him at first. I had given him, so in the core book, I had given him Samurai, Guardian, and Fencer. Once again, going with that whole aggregate thing. That's why
fair.
That's why I make clear that there's no one way to tackle this sort of thing.
Yeah.
Which was always the design. But I could see Sword Saint.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because man can cleave things.
So and I know it's tempting to go, but he's an unsent. Why would you give him the Hume race? Well, there's not much difference aside from being vulnerable to an exorcism. There's not much difference between a normal human and unsent. But Then we have Kimari,
Kimari, big old blue lion man.
who's somehow the runt of the litter when it comes to his race.
Yeah, I don't know how you pull that off, but apparently he did.
It's just that the um, guys like Biron are just a lot bigger than him.
Mm.
That and the whole broken horn thing. But there are two jobs that have to be picked right out of the gate, and those are Dragoon and Blue Mage.
And then Blue Mage. Yep.
And because of his default position, which lets him go into anybody's path easily, I would, as odd as this may sound, I would actually have Mimic be his third one.
No, I could definitely see that. Given I've seen his, well, I've seen his particular part of the sphere grid, and I'm like, yeah, I could definitely go with that.
And because of that, instead of Warrior, which might be tempting, I'm going with Adept.
That seems a little more fitting, especially considering, I mean, blue magic, because of course.
Yep. So then, Waka, who has been the subject of a few memes about his judgmental nature.
Say what you want about Waka, he was like one of the best characters in the game from all the runs I've seen.
So, let me see. Did I cover Waka? I don't think I did. I didn't cover him in the core book. And I didn't cover him in the Ultimania guide, so we're good on that front. Sniper is one of the primary jobs to go with. A lot of his stuff has been used as archer moves in previous entries. So I'd say Sniper, Gambler, especially given his overdrive.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, as far as
I want to say Cosmic Mage because he has debuffs.
That's tempting, but I'm not quite sure if that fits. Given the ridiculous high agility that he has and the potential for damage spiking, I'm actually going to go with Thief.
Okay, I can go with that.
And go with a expert job.
Seems fitting.
Mm-hmm. I sort of feel for the Besaid Aurochs, but that might just be because, well, my own local teams are notorious for choking.
And the joke must be made because I think it's one of the best from Noah's review of it. Despite, the whole review was just so spiteful. Sometimes I let a little air out of the bulb, so when it hits an enemy, it leaves a welt.
Yeah, that was probably the most well-timed because I think that was right around the time as the Bounty Gate scandal.
Mm-hmm.
Do you recall that?
I don't, unfortunately.
After Brett Favre's brief tenure on his retirement tour with the Vikings, and that one game with the Saints, there was a whole scandal about targeting, about targeting other players and
Mm-hmm.
getting an extra payday over it. It was a significant scandal at the time because there was a lot of evidence against these Saints, and they never fully recovered. They got close during the Drew Brees era, but there was a whole lot of getting in their own way during that time and wasting a generational talent. Also, Waka, voiced by Phil Lamar.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Holy shit! Samurai Jack played Waka. That's something I never knew.
Yeah, won't be the last time. Won't be the last time that a that a sorry, not it wasn't Wa. It I have to correct myself. It wasn't Phil Lamar. It was John DiMaggio.
I feel like I know that name, but I cannot
Bender.
for the life of me recall. Oh, right.
I don't know why I thought it was Phil Lamar, though I guess DiMaggio would drag Phil Lamar in 12 because Lamar played Redis in that.
Mm-hmm.
But then we have Lulu.
Lulu.
The dress of 1,000 belts.
1,000 belts or no, still would.
Yeah, we'd probably end up losing our head in the process. I
regret nothing.
I have a feeling that I don't know why, but I have a feeling that some of Lulu's designs were born out of an early design for Sorceress Adia from 8. So they kind of have the same
I can definitely
vibe.
see it. Yeah, I can definitely see that.
Um, though there's definitely the witch aspect with her, especially since it is never explained how she controls her dolls. And anyone who asks tends to get their head bitten off. Although maybe in another universe she's swapping notes with Caleb about the proper way to use dolls.
Spira blood shared universe when.
Oh
god, now that sounds badass. I am down.
Well, we have had Bloom, so why not?
And that's a pretty good mod from what I've seen.
Oh yeah. So obviously mage for class. As far as jobs, Black Mage is an obvious one.
Ravager for another one.
Especially given her
because of
overdrive. And let's see. As far as the third one, this is gonna be tricky.
I know.
Arcanist.
I can definitely see that. Now I'm just imagining Lulu with a snake sword.
You know what? She has close enough hair to Ivy that I could see that comparison being made, and I kind of set myself up for that by giving the Arcanist art a snake sword.
Yeah, that's your own damn fault for that
Yep.
one.
So then we have Riku. Uh, which gives me an excuse to use the Albed variant human.
Mm-hmm.
So, class-wise, I think it has to be expert.
Of course.
As far as jobs, I would say thief is definitely one of them.
Chemist for another one.
Yep, thief, chemist, and I know it'd be tempting to go with engineer, but I don't think that would really work. At least not for the 10 appearance.
Yeah.
No, because of
but I'm checking into something.
No, because of some of the guild-based abilities, I actually think merchant.
I was actually gonna go for that. I was like, now I have a thought. I just need to go ahead and confirm this in the book. But Brave does not want to load up my book fast enough because it hates me. Then again, it's also running Adobe, so it also hates me.
Now, I do think, even though you only control him briefly, I do think covering Seymour is apropos.
Fine.
We already have the Guado race accounted for in the Ultimania guide, so that's taken care of. As far as class goes, has to be mage.
Yep.
And as far as because he has a decent amount of black and white magic.
Scholar.
I was thinking, should it be red mage or should it be scholar? But no, it should be scholar. Especially since he's very, very casty. And as far... I know it would be tempting to go with Summoner, but he only really has one summon that he brings out. And that's Anima. We don't have an equivalent to... we don't have Anima in the Eidolon list, obviously. But we do have somebody close. I am actually thinking of giving him Yokai. And
a Yokai of Eden, I'm assuming.
Actually, no, Diabolos.
Okay.
Because even though it's non-elemental damage in-game, you look at Anima's style and you're like... In other systems, that would be shadow damage. And Diabolos is our representative for the shadow element.
Yep.
But as far as... as far as the last component, let's see. I don't think I statted him before. Nope, not in the core book.
I mean, I thought I saw him in Ultimania. Hang on, let me take a look.
No, he's not in Ultimania.
Boo! Oh well. No big deal. No, but Jack is.
I'd say for the... You know, maybe just for the... Actually, no, know what? Because of the whole thing of him being a maester, basically a high priest. I think the third one should be noble.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Especially given how Tidus didn't like him from the start. But when it comes to these celestial weapons, I think some of them we already did in Ultimania.
Mm-hmm.
But let me see. Yep, I did. So actually, I think most of them we did. So Khalid Bolg we already have.
Yep.
Oh. Let's see what. So let's see if we have Nirvana. Yep. So we might not even need to do it. World Champion? I will be shocked if I have this. And I am. So, Spirit Lance. Oh yeah, this fucking thing with the fucking Thunder Plains.
You know, I give Tabby a lot of shit for getting 199 in the Thunder Plains.
Okay. So the Spirit Lance is not there.
Now I see Abel's Lance. I see Longinus. Gaybolg, because of course you have to have Gaybolg, and Gungnir.
Although in the non-English versions of 10, it's called Longinus.
Mm-hmm.
Which might actually be a better name because Spirit Lance sounds like a low-tier weapon name.
Yeah.
And I know we have Longinus in the thing. So, let's see. What about Onion Knight? I have Onion Knights as an option.
I don't think we have.
No, we don't have any of the dolls. And
which I know that Legend Edition doesn't really have weapons that serve as focuses for spells like, Lulu does for her dolls.
Yeah, that sort of required implement thing is a conceit I was not interested in doing.
And I certainly don't blame you on that.
Uh, because it's not something that's consistent throughout the video games, and it's it re- having the idea of needing a particular focus, like a wand or an orb or a spell book or something like that, implies a consistent rule set when it comes to how magic works in universe. And for a setting agnostic game, that's not appropriate. But let's see, when it comes to Onion Knight's mechanics, let's see, break damage limit, obviously.
Reduces cost of spells to 2 MP. It's like, that is ridiculous.
But I'd say, let me see what let's see, overdrive, as well as magic booster, which that kind of thing, it would just be any of my meta magic. So I think Onion Knight can honestly be skipped. Just because I don't have an equivalent, and I don't think anyone's gonna miss it. Masamune, I know I definitely have. And God Hand, which...
Yep, you have that one.
Yeah. Though because of Riku's weapon, I know it'd be tempting to go with Monk, but she's not that kind of comboist, which is why I didn't go with that. Having a...
And the God Hand looks like kind of like a punching dagger, like a guitar. At least from what I've seen of it.
It is definitely a punchy weapon. But a lot of ultimate weapons have additional damage the closer you are to like max HP or MP.
That's what I see here.
That's not something I was ever interested in doing, because there's no real way to quantify the formula, and I didn't want to do the really complicated formulas that, say, Returners did. But and when it comes to some of the mini games, Chocobo Racing, we already have that in Ultimania. Monster Arena, that's easy to do. That'd be easy to do. I don't need to make a rule set for that. Although I look at Monster Arena as a precursor to the Hunter's Marks that you'd see in games like 12 and 16.
And in 14, because they have a hunt board too.
Yep. And when it comes to Blitzball, we have Team Sport for that, which I know some people have made a specific Blitzball game. The reason I didn't do that is because I wanted to leave room for other sport-like mini games that weren't just Blitzball. Like if somebody wanted to do rugby with mechs in their setting, I think they should have that option. So Then we have the way turn order works. What they call conditional turn-based battle, or count time battle in Japan. Because they were using a traditional turn-based approach, but it was one where your choice of action determined when you're going to be able to go next. But it apparently doesn't operate in rounds. Instead, your ability to take actions is based on your agility. And stronger abilities having more of a cooldown. Through a kind of action time or rank system that isn't outright stated, but is a background kind of thing. And with, of course, every action having a certain rank number, with the default being 3. Some of them going all the way up to 10, or some being only 1. But what I'm trying to figure out is if there is a way to do this kind of variable turn system without going too complicated, because this kind of thing is going to get brought up again when we do tactics.
Mm-hmm. There are a bunch of factors that determine turn order in tactics, and in Tactics Advance as well.
Mm-hmm. So, the cooldown for an action is based on rank, as mentioned before. Looks like the standard rank is 3. But given that actually, I think I may have a potential way that this can be done.
Mm-hmm.
So the approach I'm thinking of is your ability to act is based on agility. Keeping that part of it. I want to see something about the initiative part of traits. Okay, this might be a bit okay, because initiative is a straight number setup, that is going to make things a little bit tricky.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm thinking of doing is having, because here's what I had in mind. You you act based on agility. Think of each agility number from top to bottom being a kind of slot. But the more that I think about it, I actually think this charge setup might end up creating more problems than it solves because of the
Mm-hmm.
fact that we'd have to go into each potential action and determine what the cooldown would be.
Mm-hmm. And on top of calculating different charge times for different actions.
Hmm. So I think a simpler approach. I was thinking of something akin to putting boons if you're willing to skip a few rounds, but that's not ideal either because that's going to result in people spending a significant amount of time not doing anything.
Yep.
So I don't really think there's a way to do that kind of system.
At least not easily and without a lot of work on the GM's part.
Mm-hmm. And while it could be done, it would involve such a massive overhaul. It'd be the same problem when somebody tries to do grid combat in the game. So
Yeah. And
instead,
that adds a whole new set of problems in and of itself.
mm-mm. So instead, we're going to shift over into 10.2's setup. Uh, so this is obviously where we'd be putting a variant for Yuna and Riku. Let's see. I'd say the 10.2 version for Yuna should be expert instead of mage.
Mhm.
And as far as the jobs, I'm thinking Dynamo is definitely one of them, especially with how trigger happy works.
Mhm.
And we'll it is kind of amusing looking at some of the notes with the dress spheres because there were a few that were planned but didn't make the cut. One was for a contest. Oh, that would be the Geomancer one. There was a sketch of that out there, but Geomancer wasn't obviously made into that, which would be the second time this kind of thing happened.
Mhm.
Because if you recall, Geomancer was considered as a job for FF14, but was
Yeah.
ultimately dropped in favor of Astrologian. I don't know why it was
I
dropped,
think
but
I
I have a
remember hearing
sneaking
something.
suspicion that a big reason for that drop was the fact that Geomancer is so conditional of an archetype.
Yep.
but let me look at Floral Fallout, which is the special dress sphere. Specifically the Fallery skill set. Looking at the Fallery skill set and how each of them is doing these multi-target spells as well as a few defensive things. I'm actually thinking of going with Ravager and Black Mage.
Mm-hmm.
Especially since with each of the worlds it talks about doing a chain of elemental attacks. Or being able to fully guard against physical or magical attacks. And yeah, there's also all life, but there's no I'm not putting in White Mage just for that.
Yeah.
Let's see. As far as Riku goes, still out the race and class. I don't think change enough.
Nope.
So class is still expert.
Yep.
Jobs would still be, let's see, thief. But let me look at Machina Maw. And Amal's trying to break in with the Titus laugh. I'm like, you're gonna need to do better than that. Let's see. I think let me look at the Machinations, which is the special command for Machina Maw. Let's see. A bunch of missiles that are doing status effects. I would say for this one, that's lame. Come on, man. This might be a bit of a stretch, but I'm looking at the Machinations and I'm thinking Blue Mage? I'm thinking Blue Mage and Engineer.
I'm trying to... Engineer I can see, but Blue Mage,
It's specific because of the
having a hard time.
Pattern with the Machinations. Like, Bio Missile, inflict damage and poison. Break Missile, inflict damage and petrify. Berserk Missile, inflict damage and berserk. Stop Missile, inflict damage and stop. Confuse Missile, inflict damage and confusion. And damage and status effect is a very common thing in the blue magic spell list.
That is true.
And Illusionist didn't quite fit. So that's what I'm That's what I'm going with. Thief, Engineer, Blue Mage.
Mm-hmm.
So then, Pain, who I remember some cynical folk saying looks like Pat Benatar, but I do not see it.
Neither do I.
But I would say, but when it comes to I think the very obvious part of this is going with the warrior class.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it'd be tempting to go with Elbed because she does speak the language, but no. Uh, and let me see something. Let me see what the so I'd say the first one I think should be Weapon Master. I'd say the second sphere should second job. Honestly, looking at the swordplay abilities, I'd go with Magic Knight. And let me look at the kit for Full Throttle. So it is. I'd say Fencer, since a lot of her stuff is single target. I'd say that'd be the vibe I'd go with for Pain. And when it comes to the dress spheres, I think a bit of time should be spent on that.
I'm just wondering what we could do with something like the dress spheres.
I think we can look at the dress spheres to see what we have an equivalent to, much like what was done with, say, the jobs in FF3. So let me. Let's see. Gunner is obviously Dynamo. Oh. Let's see.
Thief, I think, is self-explanatory.
Yep. Warrior. I know it'd be tempting
Knight.
to go with Knight, but honestly, because a lot of it has I'd say with some of these, there's a bit of pairs to consider. So
Okay.
with Gunner, um, since it's either so let me see the gunplay abilities, and I think Dynamo and Sniper would fit Gunner.
Mm-hmm.
For Thief, it's Thief and Merchant.
Yep.
Uh, let's see. For Warrior, it is Knight and Magic Knight.
Yep. I definitely agree with that.
Uh, for Songstress,
Entertainer and Thief.
mhm, I can see that.
Mostly because of Mug.
Mhm. Black Mage, Black Mage.
I think that's a given.
Uh, same thing with White Mage. Gun Mage, this is a Blue Mage.
Yep. Or the A Buster in Mega Man X8.
I had considered at one point doing a Legend Edition adaptation of Mega Man X Command Mission.
Ah, the only Mega Man X game I have never played.
Uh, I think there's some
I
legs
need to
with
hunt that game down.
it. So, let's see. Alchemist, Chemist.
Chemist.
Dark Knight, well, self-explanatory.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, let's see. Samurai, well, self-explanatory.
Self-explanatory.
Lady Luck,
Gambler.
Gambler. In fact, in the Japanese version, it's just called Gambler.
Yep.
Uh, I'm still not going to try to adapt Sphere Break because even after playing it a bunch of times, I still don't fully grasp how it works. I only won because I got lucky.
When in doubt, push random shit until it works.
Yep. So Berserker,
That's how I do things.
um, Berserker is well Berserker.
Yep.
Uh, Trainer, um, Beastmaster.
Yep.
Mascot. The tricky thing is I don't really have a system mastery job. That was never the goal. But given how Mascot is borrowing a bunch of stuff from other jobs, I think Mascot should be Mimic.
Yep. Pain has the best one because it's a Tonberry.
A Tonberry holding a Cactuar.
You guys are so lucky you did not attack the Tonberry in Ghosts.
Look, I knew what I was getting into.
Yeah, especially after he ate the light you sent his way.
Mm-mm.
Like, he ate it.
Whenever I've done the whole create a ball of light, some GMs have tried to discourage me from doing that because I don't have a spell that does that.
Yeah.
I'm like, I have a spell that is dealing with using light. Why would I not have that? And why would I have to spend MP for what's essentially a cantrip?
Which is why I allowed you to do it. I'm like, you know what? Anything you have at your disposal, you're free to use in any way.
Mm,
Within reason, of course.
yeah. But when it comes to the special dress spheres, Floral Fallout, Machinamon, Full Throttle, uh, I think those are already accounted for with the 10-2 versions of Yuna, Pain, and Riku. Um,
Mhm.
See, when it comes to Festivalist, uh,
Well, that's fun. Even if a bit goofy, but it's fun.
a lot of it is just honestly, this would just be Black Mage. Just looking at the different versions of it.
And I'm
Um,
reading on it, I'm like, huh. Oh yeah, that's definitely Black Mage. I would also argue Cosmic Mage because of
Actually, know what?
the stun
Festivals gets
family.
Sage.
I can definitely go with that.
Uh, and then Psychic, aka Bullshit.
I'm working on fixing it.
Not
I just
not
draft
your
back to the.
Psychic. I'm talking about theirs.
No, no, I know. I was just looking at like I've gone back to the drawing board with that one. I'm still trying to figure it out. If I do it, it's probably not going to be an Escalon. Doesn't make any sense to have it there.
So, a set of Psychics with Ribbon is basically invincible.
Yeah, because Ribbon's like the ultimate item.
Mhm. But honestly, I think Psychic fits Cosmic Mage.
Mm-hmm. Cosmic Mage with the psychic spell list. I'm sorry. Whenever I look at Yuna's specific version, well, Yuna and Riku's version of psychic, I automatically think Athena from King of Fighters. Definitely,
I wonder if that was the inspiration.
it could very well be. Only get rid of that stupid fucking visor. That's the only part of the outfit I don't like. The visor is like, what kind of sense does that make?
Yeah. Although I was tempted to add in illusionist when it came to psychic, but nah, it doesn't quite fit.
I was about to say that doesn't make a whole lot of sense considering, you know, illusionist just has a lot of mindfuckery.
there is a quote-unquote freelancer one, but you only have it if you don't have anything equipped.
Mm-hmm.
I think there were a few other concepts that oh that didn't make the cut. Oh, like one of them was a mermaid concept.
Yeah, I do see that. That's actually not bad artwork. Not bad at all. Although I'm curious now as to the function.
uh, there's also the Matador, which if I was adding Matador into this list, that would be Fencer.
Mm-hmm. Why do I see you running that type of character in one of my games?
But yeah, there's that though. Some of the other ones that are shown in the concept art are kind of weird.
Like, there's one which looks kind of like a chef, but kind of reminds me of something out of Toho Project.
Mm-hmm. I think the Geomancer design was a concept, but it almost looks like it's trying to do Yuna as a waterbender.
Mm-hmm.
A more tropical style of waterbender, I will note. Apparently some concept art with that Yuna's guns were a gun blade at one point.
That would have been interesting. Although I feel like the gunblade would have been more of a pain thing.
But I think what ended up happening is the art team was just told to go to town on different outfit designs in a throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. And there are a few that would make for interesting setups to go with in the future. The mermaid one is kind of weird though.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I wonder what function that would have served. And now that you've mentioned it, the whole concept of Yuna's guns being a gunblade, looking at the gunner art, I do kind of see that. I also kind of see where the inspiration might have come from for the female ranger in a Dungeon Fighter, because of the way the gun is shaped.
Yeah, it is a possibility. But it's always interesting looking at the concepts that didn't quite make the cut.
The freelancer is just the girls in their underoos. What the fuck?
I think that, well, the only way you get it is by not having any dress spheres equipped. So it is apropos, I would say.
Yeah.
Although I will note, Yuna's version of Gunner would be most likely to get Swarm as one of her tags.
Whereas Pain's definitely magnum and devastating.
Mm-hmm.
Because look at that fucking thing.
Yeah. It's like what happens when you bring the goth to a J-pop concert.
I was about to say, did she like kick Duke Nukem in the nuts and just take his deagle?
Yeah, let me. I know it. I know it's likely just a. You have what looks like a standard size pistol for Yuna. Riku's version looks like a.
Noisy cricket.
Yeah. And I can see the thing with the deagle because I think it is supposed to be deagle size with that setup.
Yeah, I was like, holy shit, look at that fucking thing!
On the other hand, it also amuses me that with the alchemists they have what looks to be SMGs, and then you've got Pains who has something that looks like a flamethrower. And of course, the fact that Riku's version of Dark Knight is using Masamune.
And it looks like Yuna's version is wielding the catapult.
Mm-hmm. And I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up how, with Trainer, Yuna's animal for that is just Yojimbo's Daigoro, which on the subject of that, there are a couple summons that I think we should a few aeons that I think we should look at.
Okay. Let me see if I can find them.
Now, when it comes to the aeons, a few of them are ones that are going to be obvious, but there's a few others that I think a little bit less so. So it's more of I think what we'd have to figure out is, okay, what would be their equivalent? So first one being Valefor.
Let me. Valefor, huh? Hated him in Bloodstained. Curse of the Moon and Ritual of the Night.
Yep.
Okay, let me see Valefor. What does he have?
I must swear I've also heard Kamari isn't used by most players, but then again, most of them are probably grogs. Yeah. Kamari is the one who's right in the middle, so there's a lot of different ways you can build him, which does make him a little bit trickier because he doesn't have as defined of a territory compared to everyone else. But when it comes to Valefor, honestly, I feel like the equivalent would be Bahamut.
I'm looking at his abilities. I was like, Energy Ray and Energy Blast. Those sound like non-elemental abilities. So yeah, definitely Bahamut.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what in the actual... There's a Cindy Aeon.
The Magus Sisters.
I remember the Magus Sisters. I fucking hated them.
Yep. So, Ifrit, self-explanatory. Ixion, Rameau.
Let's see. Giant lightning horse. Yep. I want to kill it.
Shiva, self-explanatory. Bahamut, also self-explanatory. Anima, Diabolos, as I said before.
Yep.
Yojimbo,
Gilgamesh.
actually no. Odin.
Okay. Yep. Looking at his abilities now, I can definitely agree with that. Naigoro, Kozuka, Wakazashi, and Zanmato.
Let's see. The Magus Sisters. Honestly, Cerberus.
Yeah, okay. I'm still gonna kill them.
They were a gimmick.
Sam. I know. Although I'm like, Sandy, I'm a little hesitant. Sandy does not look bad.
Yeah, it's the stuff that you got to do to get it, and the fact that you can't give them commands, you give them suggestions.
Oh, lame.
Although I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up the fact that Yojimbo is one giant lone wolf and cub reference. So only five of the summons present are going to do that, and I do think I'd probably put in some sort of house rule for those who want to replicate going to the cloister and all of that. Because I think when it comes to that, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be the if you're going to be doing the quest of getting all of these summons. That's not really something you can do with either summoner or yokai in my system, because there are more eidolons than you will be able to unlock.
Yeah.
Because we have We have 18 Eidolons. So, something that bugged the hell out of me when I would play 10. The 4 types of damage elements that the game uses is fire, ice, water, lightning. 3 of them have an Aeon that represents that element. Water doesn't.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
And like, why the hell could we not have an appearance from, like, Leviathan or Bismarck?
Because no one likes giant sea dragons or giant flying whales, I guess.
I mean, I guess. It still leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
I like giant sea dragons and giant flying whales.
Yeah, if I had to guess, it was probably something that got cut for time.
Yeah.
Especially since that would certainly fit. And I've added it to the post in the Discord server. So when we come back to this 1 week from Sunday, instead of doing 11, we're jumping straight into 12. And the reason for that is, like I said, I want to save 11 and 14 for last.
Mm-hmm. No, I understand that because there's a lot to unpack with those.
There's a lot to unpack. One of them is still ongoing. The other one is still around, but it's not like new expansions are being made for it.
No, but it's still fun to play.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to get more. I would like to get more experts to come in for those, especially when it comes to handling specific characters.
Mm-hmm.
And
a week from, I think a week from when we do the next Fated Continuum, I think it'll be right after what I'm doing.
Obviously, next Sunday we're going to be doing Reflections of Gaia, covering the more hidden part of the setting. The powers in the shadow, as well as the wake and hell, and possibly the barrels and shahats. Since I don't think I'll be able to cover divine gifts as much when we get to the actual TTRPG, so keep an eye out for that.
Yeah.
Amov says don't cover Bozja. I love the lore, but Bozja was pain. You realize we kind of have to, right?
Life is pain. Anyone that says otherwise is selling something.
I mean, I get it. I understand why you have that hesitation. I was talked into putting in absolute virtue in the bestiary. And I only did it because I was dragged kicking and screaming into doing it. But the next few days will be interesting, and of course, tomorrow is going to be the last of the batch of one-shots that I'm going to be doing for Legend Edition, at least for a while.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I will say I had fun as a player for once.
Mm-hmm. So, as always, a thanks to everyone who tuned in, whether during the show or after the fact. And I hope to see you all again very, very soon. But until then, on behalf of the good brothers present and not present, my name is Mildra, I am your gaming monk. Stay fucking frosty, everybody.
See you on the trail.